So guys, if you're watching this video on Facebook or if you're watching this video on YouTube and you want to fix it today and you don't want to listen to me right now, click the link above, Learn More tab, and it'll take you to a video to learn how to start correcting it yourself. However, don't go yet. If your hip flexor issue is something that you've been really struggling with for quite a long time, maybe a physiotherapist might be the best option to go for. I am not a physio, but I've worked alongside physios to create this video. So if you want the name for, say, Kira McCallion, who's physio for Athletics Ireland and does her own personal stuff as well, don't be afraid to give me a shout and I'll pass you on her number so that you can get going on fixing that injury and get back onto the field of play or get back into the gym where you can achieve your goals. So guys, we're going to talk real quick about hip flexor problem and why it may not actually be your hamstring that's causing the issue. So guys, a lot of us sort of work in 9-to-5 jobs. We work in offices where we're sort of seated all day. But I'm going to tell you a little story on how we sort of noticed this, how myself and Kira came to the conclusion, and many other physios have already discovered this already. We come to a conclusion about the sort of hip flexor and that seated position and how that's putting more stress on your hamstring rather than the hamstring being the issue itself. So firstly guys, what we need to look at is our hip flexor. What our hip flexor does is what it says. It flexes our hip so our knee comes up to our chest. Say when we're running, we're squatting for example, it helps to stabilize at the bottom of the squat. It helps us to come up out of the bottom of the squat. Sprinting wise, it's obvious the knee needs to come up to the chest for a longer stride. So guys, if this is compensated by a shortened hip flexor, what it's going to do, it's going to anteriorly tilt the pelvis. So let me just clean this up a little for you and show you. So what I mean by that guys is that if you're sitting all day and you're at a laptop all day or you're in the office at your keyboard, whatever, really bad drawing, you're at your keyboard all day and you're leaning forward, you're hunched forward a lot, you're sitting in a seat that's at 90 degrees, your hip flexors here are going to get shorter and shorter. Rather than being in a standing lengthened position here, your hip flexors are going to get shortened. So by them getting shortened then, what that does is that's going to anteriorly tilt your pelvis. So what that's going to do is your pelvis is going to get basically put out of line. So your hip flexor here guys, this red line, let me show you again, this red line here has been shortened, and what happens then, it starts anteriorly tilting your pelvis. So the pelvis then starts coming up. So if this muscle is to shorten, it's like a rope is pulling that muscle up and pulling the hip joint up into anterior tilt. And also what happens guys is that joint is tilted throughout. So if you look at that diagram really quickly, we take this away because you know what the hip flexor is now. So if we look at this diagram really quickly and look at the two main arrows that are there now, that arrow and that arrow. The point of contact then for when that pelvis is turned, it's putting a lot of pressure obviously on the hip flexor, on the lower back, and also a lot of pressure here on the insertion point of the hamstring. And therefore the hamstring can start overworking and overcompensate. So guys, hopefully that clarifies a little bit with you why it may actually be your hamstring that's causing the issue. Your hip flexor that's causing the issue and not your hamstring. And it's not something you really have to put up with. But if you want to start fixing yourself, click the link to the video. If you're on YouTube below, or if you're on Facebook, click it above. If you feel that it's a little bit more than just a sort of discomfort or a niggle that's at you, then do seek professional advice. Give myself a private message and I'll pass you on Kira's number and details and she'll get back onto you. Best of luck with it guys. Hope the video helps.